Hello everyone, this video is to help you format your assignment 2 into APA format. So let's start with a blank new Word document. We need to put in page numbers. So we double click up the top of the page and that opens up the header. Here we can put the page number in, page top and 3. So we have page numbers for our assignments. We click outside below the header line to get out of it. And then we have to put our title, center, bold, and about 1/3 down the page. So what we need to do is we need to have double space lines. So we go paragraph, we change this to double space, and we make sure this is 0. Okay, now we can go down about to the 1/3 of the page, roughly about there. And we want to make our title centered and bold. And then we give 2 spaces, 2 enters, so we can start putting in our student name. And we take the bold off. And we type student name. And then we need the university name. And then we need the unit number, unit name. Then we need the OLA name, assignment due date, and word count. And that is how you format a student title page. Now, our next part is the abstract, and we need to put in a new page. So we need a page break to actually insert here for our abstract. So we go layout, breaks, next page. And now we have a level 1 heading for abstract in APA. So that's got to be centered. It's got to be bold as such. Now we can type our abstract on a new line. We take off the bold. We go flush left for the abstract. And we start typing our abstract. After we have typed our abstract up, we need to actually go into starting our introduction. So we need a new page for our introduction. So again, we go layout, breaks, next page, and we're on the next page for our introduction. Now, in APA 7, we need to repeat our title before we start typing the introduction. So to do that, we go home, we need to make it centered and bold, and we repeat our title. Now we can start typing the introduction on a new line. So we go, take off the bold, put the left on. Now we need first line indentation. So we need to go to paragraph. Under special, we go first line indentation. Okay. Now we can type our introduction. One thing I am going to show you is how to use EndNote in Word to build a reference list and to cite as you go. So with a sentence like this obviously needs a reference. And the reference we're going to use here, I'm going to insert it in EndNote. So EndNote, insert citation, and I'm looking for Waters here. That's the one I want. Insert. And as you can see, EndNote has automatically started building a reference list. But in APA, we need our reference list on a brand new page. So we need to put a page break in. So let's put the page break in, layout, breaks, next page. Now it needs a level 1 heading called references. So we need to make that centered and bold and references. And we'll come back to this later. Now that's how you can put a paraphonesis citation in. Now we're going to put a narrative citation in. So we need an author's name. So EndNote, insert citation. We're going to use Slade. And I'm going to go on this little arrow. I'm going to click on here. And I want to display as author and the year in brackets. And then we have a narrative citation as well. Once we finish our introduction, we need to put our method section in. And that goes on a new line. Now, a method section is a level 1 APA heading, so we need to make it, we need to take off the first line indentation. We need to make this none. Then we need to make it centered and bold for our method. Now, in our method section, we have level 2 and level 3 headings. So our first heading needs to be a level 2 heading now. So on a new line, we go left and we can put in our participants, our first 2-level heading. Now we need to type the participants section up, and we need to take off the bold, and we need to reintroduce the first line indentation under special. Once we type our participants section, we need to do our measures section, and that needs to be on a different line, and it needs to be a level 2 heading. So again, we need to take off the first line indentation, none, and we can put on the bold again, and we can type measures. Now, under our measures section, we usually have a few different measures, which is why we have level 3 headings, and our level 3 headings need to be italicized. So the name of this measure is I'm typing up here, psychotic symptoms rating scale. And that's a long name of a measure. So I want to actually use an abbreviation instead of typing out 5 words each time. So I'm going to put the abbreviation and define the abbreviation in the heading here. Then I will not have to write out the psychotic symptoms rating scale again. So let's type up this actual measures section. We take the italics off, the bold off, and we put back on the first line indentation. And now I can start typing it. Now I can use the abbreviation here. Now, every time I mention a proper scale, a measurement scale in APA 7, I need to reference it. So I need to put a reference in. So I need to go EndNote, insert citation, and this reference is Haddock. There we go. And then I can keep typing this up. After we do all the measures, so we'll have another third heading with different measures, we need to put the procedure section in. So that's a level 2 heading. So here we need to take off the first line indentation again. None. We need to put the bold back on, and we can type procedure. And now we take the bold off, and we put our first line indentation back on, and we can type the procedure up. Okay, so that's our method section. Now we're going to do our results section. It's a new line. We need a level 1 heading, so we need to take off the first line back to none. Then we need to go bold and center, and we type results. Now we can start our results section. We take off the bold. We go back to our left line, and we need to put the first line indentation back on again. Okay, so here we can type. and we can type all our results out. Now, you will have a table in your results section. You'll have more than one, actually. You'll probably have two tables. So let me show you how to insert a table here. So on a new line, we need to take the first line indentation off again to none. And we need to insert a table. I'm going to do a very basic correlations table. So let's throw in a few boxes like this, probably another one we need. So layout, insert row below. Let's do a few rows, that's it. We don't need that little thing. We'll get rid of that straight away. So what we need here is we need to leave a good space. So let's leave a color space here. Let's take that first line indentation off. And let's type table 1, and we need to bold that. Now we're going to need a title for our table, which is not bolded, but it's italicized. So I'm sure you can come up with a better name than this. Notice I'm using title case here. Let's put some actual names in here. Okay, we might put okay, so we've got a few variables in there. We would need, now you'll notice this first column is aligned left, and that's correct for APA. However, these columns here need to be centered. I want the mean, and English letters need to be italicized. It's Greek letters that don't need to be italicized, but English letters for statistics need to be italicized. And then we would have some values. I'm just making these up quickly. Notice here that I have a leading 0 because the value can be over 1. That's really important to note. Because the value can be over 1, all my standard deviations are going to need leading zeros before the decimal point. However, Pearson's correlation values, they do not have leading zeros because Pearson's correlations cannot be over 1. So let's put in the actual correlations here. So no leading 0, just the correlation value. And we denote whether it is significant by the asterisks. I'm sure you've seen that before, being third-year students. And when the p-value is not significant, then we would not have a thing there. So I'll just finish this off quickly. This is where I'm up to. Okay, done. Then we'd have our note underneath. And you'll notice that our table has gone over 2 pages, which is not good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few enters to start on a new page. That's better. And then we'll bring this note up here where it belongs. And in the note section here, we will put in what our p-values mean. Remember, 3 decimal places is the most important. You can do this yourself, as this is taking up a lot of time. Remember, English letters need to be italicized. Okay, so this is not APA formatted. We need to get rid of some of these lines. So I'm just going to click on this big cross here. And then I'm going to go table layouts, table design. I'm going to go no borders. Then I'm going to highlight the top row. And I'm going to go borders, bottom, borders, top. And then I'm going to highlight this bottom row. And I'm going to go borders, bottom. And that's an APA formatted table. Now, after we write our results section, and you'll notice I've left a couple of spaces after the table as well, we need to actually put in our discussion. Now, our discussion needs to be a level 1 formatted heading. So let's get our center and our bold going. And we have our discussion in the middle there. Then we can start typing our discussion section. So we go back to left, take the bold off, put first line indentation on. And we can start typing. Now you'll notice a word here has jumped, has made this an extra space, which shouldn't be there. So I'm just going to backspace that out. That's better. And now I'm going to continue. There shouldn't be any white space. That should not be there. You have to get rid of it and delete it. So then we write out our discussion section, and we know we've already started our references, and we can see here that our references are actually on. Now is this centered? I'm just a little bit curious just to see. No, it's not quite centered because first line's on. So let's get rid of that. And that just moves it back into the center of the page. So be careful about having first line centered on. Now you'll notice that sometimes EndNote doesn't always bring things to APA standards. For example, we can see here, this is majorly wrong. We need double spacing. And we haven't got double spacing here. So we highlight it all. We go to paragraph. We want this as 0. We want this as 0. We need this as hanging for our reference list. And we need double line spacing. And that's what we have here. Now we need to check that the other important things such as title, we're using sentence case, measures are using title case, journals are italicized, volume numbers are italicized, and APA links are working. So we need to check all those things. You'll notice here there's an issue. This one has an M dash and between the numbers. This one doesn't. This one needs an M dash between the numbers to make it APA compliant. So do be picky about your references and go through them and change them where they need to be changed. There's little things that referencing software does not do, and you need to pick through them yourself. But that is basically the gist of how to format your assignment 2 into APA formatting requirements. Remember, there is a lot of little APA issues, such as making sure your measures have proper citations with them, with the year. Also, you need to make sure that English letters are italicized, where you use leading zeros or do not use leading zeros. So there's a lot of little things which we will go over in the collabs about formatting APA things properly. And one thing I haven't put in here is when you do a rating scale here is, it's a complicated one, but it's basically on a rating scale of 1. We'll do a Likert one, it'll be easier. Or a Likert scale. 1 equals strongly Disagree to 5 equals strongly agree. Now, these are scale anchors and they need to be italicized in APA 7. We will discuss more of this in depth when we get to assignment 2, but this is just some little bits that will help you through.